Welcome to another episode of Eating from the Earth. I'm Laura Poche. I am the author of For the Love of Gut, an introductory guide to loving yourself from the inside out. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dawn Conder. She is going to be telling us all about how we can keep our bodies safe from yucky stuff that goes on the skin, but at the same time support our skin in an anti-aging and detoxifying and just beautiful way. So I'm super excited about it. I have some great questions, but before we get to those, I would like for Dawn to tell us a little bit about herself and how she got into this line of work and just what she's done, which is, I already know some of it and it's pretty amazing. So I'm excited. This is Dawn Conder. Dawn, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, thank you for having me here. I'm so excited and honored that you asked me to come on here and talk about my favorite subject, skin. So hopefully we won't go too long because I could talk about skin all day. But so my name is Dawn Conder and I am a holistic esthetician, and the name of my holistic skin room is the Face Naturalist, where I really love taking a holistic approach to skin, which is a little different than I think mainstream skincare and med spas, but I really have come to this through my own journey, and that many years ago I was watching family members get cancer. I lost my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, and then I kind of cleaned up my lifestyle. We were eating better, we were exercising, we were really spending time outside, kind of grounding ourselves in nature. And my daughter had an almost anaphylactic reaction to drugstore makeup. And really skincare was kind of the one thing I hadn't really thought about. I had thought about our food, I had thought about being active and kind of more a lifestyle approach. I had not thought about what we were putting on our skin, and it turns out that she was allergic to various ingredients that are in our everyday skincare and makeup, from parabens to different colorants that are common in skincare and makeup. And so I really had to do this deep dive. I had to really learn very quickly about ingredients and reading labels, and we had to pretty much clear out the whole house of everything from shampoo and conditioner, the different skincare products that at the time she was a teenager, but it opened my eyes to, number one, the lack of ingredient regulation in America, to number two, how trusting we are to the products that we buy in the grocery store or at the drugstore, even online, how we just trust so blindly. And that due to the regulations or lack of, that there are ingredients that are legal and are formulated, things from formaldehyde to endocrine disruptors and to forever chemicals that really can be absorbed through the skin and affect our health. And this was so evident in watching in my own daughter as she reacted to these ingredients. And it just really got me down this path of natural skincare, of natural products. I became a certified face yoga instructor, a certified Asha therapist, and that's really what pushed me when I saw the incredible results that you could have through better for you skincare and makeup and holistic techniques that are rooted in ancient traditions. When I saw the amazing results that you can have from that, that really pushed me into holistic aesthetics. So that's kind of, how I've gotten to where I am now, and my approach to skin and with my clients is really about not just talking about what we put on our skin, although that's very important, but also talking about the lifestyle and how your lifestyle affects your skin, because it really starts from within. And I have a very natural and gentle approach to skin to help the skin do what it's meant to do naturally, so that you have a healthy skin barrier, and so that you really love the way that you look inside and out.
That is fascinating. We've seen so many different commercials and infomercials in the middle of the night and all these things about skincare. And, I take a very simple earth approach to my diet, to my skin. And, it sounds like that is a big priority for you, is making sure that everything that you put on people's skin or that you put on your own skin is earth-derived, safe, free of the chemicals. We don't know what so many of these chemicals are. And over the years, I know for me, when I'm in when I used to be in a store buying products, I would look at them and I would read the first 2 or 3 ingredients, and I was just too tired to read the rest of those words. I'm just like, what does that even mean? And it'll say on the front of it, paraben free or phthalate free or certain things, but what else does it have? It's got something else in the place of those toxins. So I love that you've been so diligent about being solution oriented in the skincare industry, because there's just not a lot of people that are as concerned about things like that and selling skincare.
Thank you.
So my first question today is the significance of scrutinizing ingredients in skincare. We touched on a little bit of that just now. She was very so informative with her introduction that we've already covered a lot of what I'm going to ask. But I want to ask, just really drilling it down, why should we be so vigilant about ingredients in skincare products? In what ways are these ingredients affecting our endocrine and our nervous systems in individuals in the United States? So many people that I know, and I'm sure you know, are dealing with some sort of an endocrine disorder, a thyroid problem, diabetes, the entire endocrine system is affected by so many of these products. So besides what you had talked about, let's kind of dig into like the endocrine system. How are some of these chemicals affecting it, and why is it so vitally important that people pay attention to this?
Yeah, so first of all, let's start off with, according to the Environmental Working Group, women on average put 12 products on their body a day, and that can have 168 unique ingredients in those products. So I don't think people realize how trusting we are of these ingredients that we're putting on our body, and knowing that our skin is our largest organ. We know it has pores, right? We all know that. And so that means that our skin is permeable, right? And so it's absorbing much of what we're putting on our skin. Now, I just kind of want to backtrack and just say, I said much. And I know you and I have talked about this, but I think it's very important to also not get sucked into like alarmist comments and theories that are floating around. It's really actually quite complicated how our skin absorbs ingredients. And you notice I didn't say like 60% or 70%, which I know is a common statistic that's out there on how much our body is absorbing of.
I feel like if people hear a statistic that they're like, oh, it's got to be true, it's got a
Right,
statistic
exactly,
attached to it, right?
Exactly. But the way your skin absorbs chemicals is actually quite complicated, and here's why. First of all, some chemicals aren't absorbed beyond the surface layer of our skin at all, while others can be absorbed, like parabens. That's one that has been proven because they have found these chemicals in our bloodstream and urine. So this has to do with, first of all, formulation. And so chemicals come in different sizes and different absorption rates. and then you have different delivery systems. So all of these three components combined really determine how much, if any, of the ingredient or chemical is absorbed into your body. Now, with that being said, these endocrine disruptors, things that you kind of, will see, parabens, phthalates, there's many of them out there that the body does absorb into the bloodstream. And formaldehyde is another one. Synthetic fragrances that can be one word on a label that can actually have hundreds of ingredients in that one term, including some of the things that we just mentioned. So, these things have been found in studies in the blood and the urine, which means that these ingredients are potentially harming our hormones, the endocrine system, which, if that's a new term for you, the endocrine system is basically our body's system that regulates the hormones, and these EDCs or endocrine disruptors can mimic, block, or potentially even disrupt the production of your own hormones. So this can lead to things like infertility. It can lead to metabolic disorders, and unfortunately even cancers. So that's why it's so very, very important that we become our own advocates by being label readers and not necessarily trusting what's on the label, the front of a box,
right?
Which often, these companies are very good at marketing and very good at putting
80% marketing, 20% product, right?
Exactly. They're very good at putting pretty green leaves that make you fall for.
And I have fallen for that in my past.
Oh, me too. So you need to educate yourself. And that starts with figuring out what your personal no list is. My personal no list may be different than yours, but when you become educated in ingredients and then you figure out what your no list is, then you can pick up and look at the back of the label and look at the ingredient deck and right away decide if this is a product for you or not.
Right.
And so I think it's kind of like healthcare, right? At the end of the day,
Yes.
We're our own advocates, and I also like to say that we're voting with our dollars.
Yes, I say that all the time.
Well, I'm in such agreement because when I started so many years ago talking about, I say safe skincare, because I think sometimes clean and green are greenwashed, or clean washed terms, but I say safe skincare. When I started years ago, there wasn't a whole lot that you could go to a store and buy, and I feel like as the consumer has spoken
loudly,
and
we are yelling and screaming on podcasts and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you would be shocked at when we demand for better and we demand for transparency, what can happen. So do your due diligence. I always say, even if a label says paraben free or free of this or green or clean or natural, take the time to read the label, because of the lack of regulations, they can put these terms on there and still have synthetic chemicals that can be harmful.
Yeah. It is. And when you talk about these things, what comes to my mind is a very popular store in most malls that sells things for when you take a bath and you put things on your body. So I think about things. I think about things that the fragrance of these products that are so outlandish. Like, you would never smell anything on the planet that actually smells like some of those products. And when you were talking about your no list, I think about, I have my non-negotiables, right? I have my non-negotiables. And one of my non-negotiables is, if I've seen a commercial for it, I don't buy it. because I know that if it's got a national commercial, it's been infiltrated. And so now it's probably not very good for you. And it has to be mass produced, which means that it has to have the stuff in it to take it from one continent to another. So yeah, that's such great information. And you know, so few people are aware of the endocrine system and its function. And so many of the endocrine disorders, you might find this fascinating too, so many of the endocrine disorders today are connected to the pituitary gland, which lives inside your brain, and that's dangerously close to your face. You know, I mean, we think, you know, just because we're putting it on our skin, that bone barrier is gonna stop it, but it's not. You know, things that we're putting on our hair, on the tops of our heads, are going right into our scalp and then into our bloodstream that feeds into our whole entire brain, and our eyes and our sense of taste can be affected, especially by things that we're inhaling through our nose. And it's just amazing what it can make. You can imagine, I guess, like a cloud of toxins just floating around your head, right?
Well, not only that, I mean, you're also inhaling, right? You know, this synthetic fragrance that, like I mentioned, could house, you know, up to 100 ingredients, and you have no idea what those ingredients are because they have used this term fragrance as their, you know, proprietary blend, you know, terminology. So you really don't know. So yeah, you're absorbing it in your skin, through the follicles, you're inhaling it, you know, into your lungs. So, you know, there is definitely not only the hormonal aspect, but the nervous system aspect of it. And so it affects us in, you know, ways that, you know, we don't even think about. So it's just really important to be your own advocate, just like you would in healthcare. You need to do this as well with what you put on your body.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Okay, so let's talk about then, let's transition into talking about beauty from the earth. So the earth supplies everything necessary for our well-being. I 100% believe that we are so connected to this planet that I'll give a quick example. My husband and I last year caught RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, and we both were very, very sick. And when I finally was well enough to emerge from my lair of sickness and walk out into my yard, there was a plant growing in my yard that I'd never seen before. So I scanned it with my identifier app, and it was the hoary plantain, which is related to the broadleaf plantain, which is pretty popular in Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine. But the hoary plantain is a little different. First of all, it grows here, and its leaves are a little skinnier because it doesn't have to store water, because it has access to plenty of water here. In a drier climate, the broadleaf plantain would grow to store the water. So when I scanned it, it was used in Ayurvedic medicine to treat respiratory infections from a respiratory virus. And as I walked around my neighborhood looking for this plant in other places, because I harvested every bit I could find, when I walked around my neighborhood, there was no other yard that had that plant in it except mine, which told me that that part of the earth where my energy lies knew what I needed when I needed it and gave it to me. So how do you think that the earth does that when it comes to our skincare? How does that work?
Well, what a beautiful story of showing alignment between body and earth. So I love that you shared that, because I really do believe that the earth provides not only what we need nutritionally, but also topically. There's, whether it's Chinese medicine or Ayurveda, homeopathy, there's, so much that, the earth gives us that we can use for natural healing. And I do believe it's the same in skincare. Whether it's talking about plant-based oils, which I'm a huge lover of. I've been using oils on my face for many, many years, and truly believe that it can do amazing things. But there's clays that help with detoxing our skin. There's minerals and antioxidants that are packed with the vitamins and nutrients that our skin needs, and it's just right there waiting, for us to use and to harvest in ways that are beneficial for our skin. But I will say, it is important, at least for me, I do kind of draw the line when it comes to some of your DIY products. I'm all for like farm to table formulations as opposed to making and crafting in your kitchen and in your garage. Now listen, a little DIY for yourself at home with making a little lip mask with some coconut or shea butter with sugar, where you're making it right then and using it, love it. But I think where I find the problems is when we're buying these they are DIY, and then they're being sold products that have no oversight for making sure of the conditions that they are created in, so you don't know about any contamination, potential lead, or heavy metals, and the safety of it for mold growing when you don't have the right preservatives. And now there are some natural preservatives in nature, but you do have to be very careful. And I think there's the part of it where while you're risking yourself for possible reactions, you also may not get the results that you're looking for, because these ingredients that are raw in nature, not necessarily does that translate to being in the right delivery system or right form for, number one, your skin to absorb, to even see any results, but to really have any long-term benefits. So I think the key is to looking for brands, because there are a lot of brands out there doing it really well that are herb, botanical, natural based, where they know where they are farming. Some of them have their own farms. Some of them are walking the farms and picking and harvesting what they need, and then combining that with science and the correct formulation to not only make sure what you're putting on your skin is safe, making sure you're not potentially you're avoiding these harsh synthetic chemicals, but potentially exposing yourself to the the chemicals in nature that aren't meant to be on our skin, like asbestos, which is commonly found where talc is, or heavy metals. So that's what you are gaining when you are working with companies that are formulating and are still science driven.
I think that's really important. It's interesting, Dawn, we are in South Florida, and it's interesting that Florida is the only state in the United States that requires skincare sellers of skincare, to have their products professionally formulated by a formulation company. You can't just make it in your house and sell it. And Florida is the only state in the United States that has those regulations.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that interesting?
I just learned something.
Because I wanted to make skincare too, and then I learned that, and I talked to a formulation company, and it was very expensive.
Yes, it is.
And so we changed our minds on that route. But it is really important, and it's really important to know what quality of ingredient you're using, and because not every herb that's on the planet is useful on every part of the body. In every part of your body you have a different composition, and so different herbs work in different ways on the face on the feet, on the hands. You know, everything is different. So it is really important, and I'm so glad you brought that up. Okay, so my next question for you is anti-aging. There are so many methods for anti-aging that we can do on a regular basis, like intermittent fasting, consuming large amounts of antioxidants like this, exercising. What strategies do you find that are effective in anti-aging? Now, we have seen these skincare products that are like fillers, right? That will like go into the pores and plump them up for a period of time. You know, even like creams and stuff, not just necessarily injectables, but stuff that you can put on the skin that will plump that up. But in turn, you wind up with a comedogenic effect where you have the clogging of the pores. So what other methods of anti-aging have you found that are effective and at the same time non-comedogenic and not harmful for the skin?
Yeah, I think this is a great question because it really brings the holistic approach into it, right? And you know, we can even have the best skincare going on our skin, but if we're not treating our skin holistically, also from within, then we're really not going to see the ultimate benefit that you can. And the skin is such a, sometimes I'm like, you know, my skin tells all my secrets. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah, it will. It totally does.
It tells your secrets of what you did last night or what you did a month ago. It will also tell your secrets of what you did, you know, when you were younger, baking out in the sun, right? So, you know, these secrets are not just, you know, what we did, you know, topically or being out in the sun, but also how we treated our body from the inside. And so that's why it's so important. If you really want vibrant skin, then, and why, you know, I love that you talk about things like, you know, intermittent fasting and detoxing and, you know, herbs and all that, because they really do need to go hand in hand. And the things that I like to talk to my clients about when it comes to working with me, where I'm treating mostly, you know, the outer, that, you know, they need to partner and they need to approach it from a lifestyle approach. And that starts with eating.
Yes.
And how we're nourishing our body from within. And while I'm not a nutritionist or a dietitian, I can confidently say that when we're eating a whole foods-based diet, where our body is getting the nutrients that it needs from within, that you're gonna see that on the outside of your skin. And you know, you're also gonna feel better, so your quality of life is gonna be better. And when we feel better, then we exude that,
yes,
you know, with our facial expressions.
Absolutely.
And our skin. So I think, you know, lifestyle is just so huge, you know, and that also includes getting enough sleep. We need to get enough sleep. When we sleep, that's when our skin is repairing. So you want to make sure you're getting that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Otherwise, you're robbing your skin of that opportunity,
yes,
to go through that cell renewal
Not to mention
process.
the rest of your body that has to go through that cell renewal
Right,
process.
right, exactly. The next one I talk a lot about is hydration, and hydrating with the right, you know, sources. A nice tea, water, you know, decaf and alcohol are all dehydrating things to drink. So, you know, we really need to give the body what it needs in hydration, and I always recommend half your body weight in ounces. That way your organs are efficiently working and then pumping and circulating and getting the nutrients to, you know, our epidermis, to the surface layers of our skin. So when we're hydrated internally, we look more hydrated externally. And another one that I talk a lot about is stress, and you know, kind of that stress and mindfulness component, and because stress does affect our hormones, and it affects our nervous system. So when we are finding ways to keep that stress balanced and to bring mindfulness and gratefulness into the equation, we help to regulate those hormones in the nervous system. And when we're regulating those things, that also allows the skin to work efficiently and to do its job and not to disrupt that whole process. Some other things just that come top of mind. One is trying to boost your skin naturally and boost those collagen levels. And we can do this by taking collagen supplements, which I highly recommend, but other ways naturally that you can boost your collagen that go above and beyond the products you put on your skin are things like face yoga, gua sha. Yeah, so when we're massaging the skin or using a gua sha, then we are boosting the collagen naturally. And as we know, unfortunately, in our 20s we start to lose our collagen with each decade, and so when we're able to kind of aid the skin naturally, it's just a great way to not only see that glow on the outside, but know that we're doing something really great for the skin at a much deeper level. And we want to make sure we are protecting our skin barrier, and so that starts off with some of the things that we mentioned: lifestyle, also collagen boosting things techniques that you can do naturally. But also we want to make sure that we're not aggressively treating the skin either with aggressive or harsh exfoliating products. You want to be gentle with the skin and not break down that skin barrier, but instead try and make it more resilient. And so you can do that with having an appropriate skin routine and using products that are just very nourishing and healthy for your skin.
There are so many things you said in there that I want to touch on, but first thing I wanted to touch on was the sleep. You talked about sleep and how incredibly important that is. I know for me in my Ayurvedic journey, learning is very similar to Chinese medicine. They have so many similarities. But one of the things that Ayurveda recommends for sleep, to have a nice, healthy, glowing skin, to have healthy organs, to have a healthy digestive system, to poop every morning successfully, which is, I love to talk about that, is connecting your circadian rhythm with the rhythm of the earth, and going to bed within 3 hours of the sun setting and rising within 2 hours of the sun coming up, so that your internal sun rises and sets with the earth. I know that for me, my skin I have seen a huge difference in my skin since I started doing that. And the difference that I've seen is that I have pictures of myself when I was in my mid to late 30s and early 40s and today, and my skin looks as good without makeup as it did with makeup then. And so I know that the look I was trying to achieve with makeup was the look that I have now, which is that just healthy, vibrant skin. And that when you see your face being healthy and vibrant, and not looking tired and old and just wrinkles and gray and dry, is a sign of what's going on the inside. It's just a reflection. Your countenance, your representation is your face, and it represents a state of health. So I love that you said that, because sleep is so incredibly important. And one of the 7 signs of good health in Ayurvedic medicine is that of a blemish-free face, blemish-free skin. And I think that what you're talking about stimulating the skin, putting the herbs and the right things on the skin at the right time, and moving the water around in the skin is so vitally important for bringing anti-aging and just vibrancy to the skin. Earlier, you and I were talking about how there are different parts of the face that are connected to different organs in the body. Can you share a little bit about that with me?
Yeah.
With us?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we were going to talk a little bit about this, as we talked about face yoga. But
oh, that's right. And
yeah.
that's actually, that just brings us into it because that's next. So let's talk about face yoga.
Yeah. And you had asked, how, the digestion kind of starts at the mouth, and, does that in any way really, does face yoga help with that? And obviously, I'm a big fan of face yoga. I love the benefits of it, not only in seeing that natural glow, but also the mindfulness component to it. But while, I don't know that I would say face yoga directly, aids in digestion. I almost think like it's the opposite.
Okay.
In that, in Chinese medicine, and there's face mapping where, the face mapping shows like the different organs, and what shows up on your skin is connecting with a different organ, like, and I see this a lot, this area here, it is connected to the pelvic organs or hormones. And so a lot of times when I have, it's kind of why people will get the random breakouts at that time.
Right around. Oh, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and then you've got, other areas that are related, to the small intestines, and this is, in face mapping, and, areas of the stomach. And so you can kind of relate it in the opposite fashion, that when you take care of these organs, and I do believe kind of, I think there's a book called like the gut-brain axis. I believe that there's a gut-skin axis as well. Yeah. And that when you are eating the right foods, and sometimes it takes more than eating the right foods, if you have a leaky gut or having intestinal issues, but when you address those issues, then you can see dramatic improvements on the face and the skin,
that's
everywhere.
So amazing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to real quick jump in here, and I had before I started my health journey, before I started this particular health journey, I had a cluster of moles on my face here, and one of them would stick out really far, and it just was so unattractive. And then I had another one that would grow straight out from here, and I would every now and again, clip it off, and it would just keep coming back. And I just had several of them. And when I changed my diet, when I got rid of gluten, when I got rid, the glyphosates, when I got rid of non-organic food, when I got rid of prepackaged processed foods, when I started eating from the earth, vegetables from the earth, meat from the earth that's fed good vegetables, just good food, it all went away. And it was the craziest thing, because one day I was doing something in the mirror, and I said to myself, where is my mole? And they were all gone. So, I mean, just crazy, right? That's just crazy. So I would be interested to know, this section of the body on the cheek, what is that connected to?
Yeah, so, I mean, that area, like, we have the stomach here, and this is also the lungs.
Okay.
But definitely in that area.
The large intestine
is kind of this area right here. And it's on the face, there's a lot of gut.
Yeah,
right?
pelvic organs here. So that would, right here would make sense for endocrine disruption in the ovaries. I don't have anything else, but in the ovaries. And so, that would make sense, right? Because I did have a hysterectomy when I was young. So I would imagine that there's probably some endocrine disruption just from having a hysterectomy. So that is so interesting. Go through with us a little bit, if you would, just what is where, because that's so fascinating.
Well, I mean, like, we've already addressed this area, and that area, and then we have the small intestine, and then the bladder up here, and heart, and the kidneys here. I think this is a really good one to note, because I know a lot of people who will struggle with that puffiness here, And so, while I'll teach people kind of, how to manually work on that with face tapping, but I think it's really important to kind of, yes, sleep shows up in this area, but water retention, which is directly related to our kidneys, right, that's showing up in this area. So kind of, making sure that, your kidneys are in balance, and
Your kidneys,
yeah.
liver,
Yeah.
right here in the middle of the forehead.
Yep.
Pancreas. I want to just point out something really interesting. So anytime that you ever see a drawing or a cartoon of an alcoholic, or they portray an alcoholic on television, and even sometimes maybe you've met an alcoholic that look like this, they always have the big red nose, right? And right in this nasal area, you have your liver, your pancreas, and your kidneys.
All right there.
The three things that are really heavily affected by alcohol.
Yeah. So that's just a little kind of, Chinese medicine, face mask.
It's just, that to me is just so fascinating. I'm a yogi and I love doing yoga, and I know what yoga does for my digestive system, especially when you're doing any kind of compressions down in the large and small intestine area, like child's pose or wind relieving pose or anything like that, where you're compressing the small intestine, the ascending colon, the descending colon, the transverse colon, that your digestion is going to be so much better. So it's amazing that now that I know that I can couple the physical body yoga with face yoga and still improve my digestion. That's just amazing.
Wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love talking about these natural techniques that not only help our skin, but make us healthier and just have a more positive feeling of well-being.
So I'm going to throw a question in here that I didn't have on our outline, but I would really like your opinion on this. So one of my favorite things to do, I spend a lot of time in Arizona and then we spend time here, is I love to walk barefoot. I love to earth. I love to go earthing. And if there's a mud puddle, I want to be in it. It's just one of my favorite things to do. Tell me your opinion. How do you feel earthing can benefit your skin, and how can it contribute to the anti-aging process?
So I love earthing. I love, whether it's, and of course, I think in Ayurvedic, medicine, that, going out and doing sun salutations, right, in the morning, and, and bare feet is like a wonderful way to start your day. But I think it kind of comes, yes, we think of our skin as, kind of this barrier, but the skin is also extremely sensory. And so, when you're, outside earthing barefoot, or, just being out in nature, there's that sensory component of feeling the earth under our feet. If we're gardening, feeling the earth in our hands. And yes, your skin is potentially absorbing the minerals that are in the earth, but I think it really goes beyond that, and that it's that connection with nature. And when we are connecting with nature on such a beautiful but basic level, there is that mindset piece again. And so that mindset piece of just regulating our cortisol levels, regulating our nervous system, having that connection to the earth as opposed to our phones or to everyday life, that the craziness, being able to kind of separate for that time and being able to connect with nature and calm the nervous system and endocrine system, all that. I believe that really is helping the overall wellness of our body, and over time that is helping in our anti-aging process. When your hormones are at balance, that is helping the whole longevity, quality of life, and aging process on a totally different level than even our skincare products can do.
Absolutely. The earth can do what nothing else can do. And I love that you brought up the point of consistency because, so many people are looking for that instant gratification, that it's our microwave society is what they call it, just we want it to work now, a plumper, a softener, makeup, whatever, we want it to work now. But, that may be great for temporary and for a short time, maybe to get you through a wedding or get you through a photo shoot or something. But anything that you do consistently, good or bad, is going to have an effect on your body long term. And one of the things that I talk to people about herbs with is that you can't take an herb and 1 week later decide that it doesn't work for you because you don't see any result. Herbs take a long time to get into the system. They have to get into the bloodstream and be flowing through the bloodstream consistently, which means that you have to be consistent on doing your regimens, on whatever you're using for your skin. You want to be consistent with it. And consistency goes the other way too, right? If we consistently are putting endocrine disruptors on our skin and consuming endocrine disruptors, we can expect to have some kind of an endocrine disorder. It's the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland provides energy to every system in the body. So every single system in the body has the energy it gets comes directly from the thyroid. And on the back side of that thyroid are 4 parathyroid glands, which regulate the amount of calcium that's in your body. And without that regulation and that communication between the thyroid gland and the hypothalamus, we couldn't move. So that electrical impulse, because calcium's in a battery, right? That electrical impulse that's carried in calcium is what gives us the ability to move our muscles. And when that is disrupted, through things like artificial sweeteners is one of the #1 culprits for this. You people lose the ability to walk. And that is just, that shouldn't be the way it is. We should be able to walk until we die, right? We should be able to live our best life. We shouldn't have to end our life at 55, 60 years old, give up everything we love because our body doesn't want to cooperate anymore. All of it. And in my opinion, Dawn, I believe 100% that everything that is wrong with us is reversible. I believe that 100%. And I feel like you probably believe that for the skin as well. Everything is reversible. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Well, I guess it depends on, I think you can improve the skin dramatically. I think it depends on what you mean as reversible.
I guess I mean, it doesn't become debilitating.
Oh, yeah. I think when it comes to like chronic skin conditions, you can, anything autoimmune, like you're never cured from it, but I think like I have very bad rosacea, but through lifestyle and the right products, I haven't managed. And I think that's, with many of autoimmune skin conditions, you can manage and you can put things into remission. But sure, like everything is reversible, I guess, in skincare. It depends on what lengths you're willing to go. And, whether it's a facelift or it's, some of these injectables, you can make things seem like they're reversed.
I don't think that that's actually reversing it. I think that's actually, even though for a temporary time it looks like it's reversed, right? Maybe the little lines on your forehead are gone because you got some stuff pumped in there, but in the long run, I know I've met people who have had these things done, and then if they don't keep up with it, they look way older than they are because of the damage that's been done, I guess, on a cellular level. But I feel like everything can be reversed to the point of not being debilitating. I guess I should have said that. Of course, we can't reverse our gray hair, and we can't reverse, the natural effects that time takes on our skin. But I think that we can keep these things from taking away from our lives. That we don't. I'm too old to roller skate, but I do. And I don't now, but since I broke the tailbone. But I don't believe that I have a lot of boundaries. I don't believe in a lot of those kind of boundaries. I'm 52 years old. I can't do that. No, that's not how I want to live. I want to experience the things that my children are experiencing, and I want to experience those things with them. And I believe that through consistently taking care of your body and allowing your body to support you in everything you do, that you can age gracefully and you can age beautifully.
Well, absolutely. I do. I truly believe that, whether it's the products we put on our body, the food that we nourish our body with, the lifestyle that we live, we can age gracefully. I also think self-acceptance and self-love really plays a big part of this. And I know you and I have talked about this earlier, but I think we're in such, and you mentioned, instant gratification, to where we're seeing influencers and celebrities who are truly going to extremes to, make themselves at age 70 look like they're 30. And I feel like there is that hamster wheel, like you said, of keeping, once you start those things and having to keep up with them. And I really believe that this is where, so many of my clients, and I even have clients who are models and swimsuit models who come in and think they're not beautiful, and they are. And I think there's a little bit of this self-acceptance of getting trapped in that comparison of what we see out there, and forgetting that nowadays these photos can be altered and filtered, and AI,
There's no way we can look like that. That's an unrealistic expectation.
Exactly. And this is where self-love comes in, and really appreciating, and I think you said this earlier, loving and appreciating what your body and your skin does for you every day, and really just being grateful for all the things that we get to do for our body, and in return the beauty that it shows through our skin. And when you have that self-acceptance and love yourself, you will see how beautiful you are without having to do these extremes. And so I think it's such an important part of the whole
that's
process.
Beautiful, for sure. That is beautiful. Yeah, my book is called For the Love of Gut, an introductory guide to loving yourself from the inside out. And I knew when I was writing this book and I was going through my journey, I knew that love had that everything boils down to love. Every single thing boils down to love. But when we can find a way to love ourselves enough to nourish ourselves the way you're talking about, in a way that produces the effect that we're looking for. We're born into this body, and we're taught by social media and by Hollywood to hate it. And there is nothing at all worse that you can do to yourself than to despise yourself. It doesn't matter what your body looks like. It doesn't matter the way your body moves or the way it works. If it doesn't look like someone else's that you think it should, none of that matters. If you want your body to change, and you want the function of your mind and the function of your body to be different, then you have to treat it different. You have to love it, and you have to find love for it where it's at. Just as if you were dealing with a friend that had a drug addiction, right? You would love them where they were at and support them through their recovery. And that's exactly what you have to do for your own body. And we've just been programmed and accustomed to just tearing ourselves down. And we can't be our best self without this great new thing on the market. But you were born into a perfect body, and that perfect body grew in perfect proportion, and it grew into perfect operation, and it's still there. That perfection in the way the body operates is still there, and we can find it through self-love.
Absolutely. And I think it's important. Listen, I meet my clients where they're at, and I have clients who won't put sunscreen on because they don't want the chemicals in sunscreen. And then I have clients who have had many surgeries, and I'm here to partner and really meet anyone where they're at. And there's no judgment, but I do think at some point you need to have that self-love. Otherwise, nothing that you are doing in your life and nothing that you're excluding from your life will ever fill in that gap of not loving yourself. Yeah. And so, I think we need to feel empowered by the things we can and can't, or choose not to do. But, we should feel empowerment, but we also need to seek that self-acceptance and seeing the beauty that is in there, regardless of what we're doing or not doing.
Well, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I just want to point out that Dawn has probably got some of the most beautiful skin I've ever seen.
Thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, you're sweet.
And it's just proof that what she's talking about today is so effective. And I know if you've listened to my other podcast, you know that I'm about everything that goes in, goes on. It's everything is working in synergy to get us to exactly where we're at right now. So everything that you have done, every decision you've made, everything you've done has gotten you to the point that you are right now. And if where you are is not where you want to be, you have the ability to be able to create that synergy in your life and get to where you want to be just by changing some of the decisions that you make with your skin and with your digestive system and everything that you put in and put on. And just to wrap things up here, we're going to wrap things up. It has been such a pleasure talking with Dawn today. I'm so thankful she agreed to come on the podcast. But I got one more question for her. What foods do you feel are the most damaging to the skin, and which do you believe are most beneficial for achieving glowing, beautiful skin like yours?
Oh, you're so sweet. So I think it really, first of all, anytime you are fueling and nourishing your body with whole foods, you're on the right track. Foods that are full of sugars, which we know sugar spikes our insulin, and so that's very damaging for the skin. It's also causes inflammation. So another one would be, processed foods, foods with trans fats in them. So any food that causes inflammation in the body is potentially affecting your skin and also accelerating the aging process. So those are foods that I would stay away from. As far as foods that you want in your diet, once again, anti-inflammatory foods is what you're going for. So whole foods, things with lots of water content, because when we're staying hydrated through whole foods, think berries and fruits and vegetables, that is aiding in that hydration from within. And then you want anything with, that have good antioxidants, with your good nourishing vitamins, vitamin A, C, and E.
Vitamin A comes from sweet potatoes.
Yeah. Which is a great,
It's one of my favorite foods.
It's a great food for the skin. And also you want to think of, your omega-3 rich foods,
like chia seeds?
Chia seeds, walnuts, salmon. So those are really great to add in so that we're getting those healthy fats. And then, kind of going back to the hydration piece, that's really important. We're drinking herbal tea, which is a great way to not only hydrate the body, but to, have that sense of peace and calm. So, sometimes the ritual of how we eat our food, while not directly affecting the skin, does affect our cortisol levels and that nervous system again. So really making time to be able to sit and eat and try to not eat on the go, but to kind of make it more of that healthy ritual where you do get to decompress for a little bit and taste your food and enjoy your food and to chew properly. So that's aiding that whole digestion process, right? So sometimes, it certainly is about the foods that we're eating, but also the way that we're eating. If you can really limit inflammatory foods, add in anti-inflammatory foods, and eat your meals in a way that just allows you to enjoy what you're eating, and to help keep your mind and body calm. All of that is going to be reflected in your digestion and just help
Yes.
the whole nourish your skin from within.
Yes, yeah. I know I eat the way I eat, and the way I teach people to eat when I'm in my coaching practice is that you eat your fiber first. That initiates digestion, and then you move on to your fat. And so there should always be a healthy fat on your plate. A lot of times people say, I got my vegetable, and I got my carb, and I got my meat, but what about your fat? Your good fat. You need some form of good fat on your plate. And that almost like moisturizes the small intestine to make it easier for food to pass through and digest more quickly, followed by your meat. So you want to have a nice slick, small intestine to get the meat through the digestive process through the small intestine for the nutrient extraction to move quickly into the large intestine. And last would be your carbohydrates or your sugars, which would not cause a blood sugar spike because you've already prepared your digestive system to handle carbohydrates. So I know that since I've been eating like that my digestive system has changed, but not only that, I've seen a difference in my skin as well.
I love it.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's so fascinating.
Yeah,
Love it.
It's very fascinating. So Dawn is a licensed esthetician, and she is the Face Naturalist here in Naples, Florida, and I will be including her contact information, her website, whatever she's got that you guys can get in contact with her. It will be down in the comments here. So if you are interested in having a facial, or if you're interested in learning more about holistic skincare, Dawn is such a great resource. And I just want to thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast today. And I hope that you and I can talk again on another episode about some other things, because I feel like we touched on a lot of great things, but I feel like there's a lot more podcasts than this.
Well, thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I learned as well. So thanks again.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Eating from the Earth. And again, please like, share, and follow, and stay tuned. We'll have some more fun, healthy, good eating stuff coming up again for you soon.